Thank you, Chair, for the introduction, and I would like to extend my gratitude to ICRIER and Dr. Sanjay Pulipaka for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this esteemed forum. As my topic is China, changing balance of power in Asia Pacific, challenges and responses. As we already know that the elephant in the room is China when we are talking about change or balance of power in Asia Pacific. Uh, since the region has been mainly dominated by US influence since since the end of World War II, and in the post Cold War era, we see that the balance, not to say balance, but rather it was an hegemonic order that was existing in Asia Pacific. So the question is, in the context that I'm speaking, is how is China's rise transforming the region? So the US factor in Asia Pacific is very important. That is, since World War II, we see that US has been the dominant power in the region, both in terms of playing a leadership role as well as, and mainly in having a very significant and strong military presence in the region. So as a director under the Nye Initiative in 1995, which outlined United States interests in the Asia Pacific, which it said that the main objective is to block a rival power from dominating the Asia Pacific region. So as it said that the United States military presence in the region supports many of our broader objectives and those of allies. So as clearly outlined that why Asia Pacific is one of the main it comes under the strategic primacy of United States foreign policy. So US role in Asia Pacific, as in 1998, the Department of Defense report says it reassured that it is to ensure our continued access in the region. So in all these years, we say that United States played a very pivotal role as a pacifier in the region in terms of security guarantor, dispute arbiter, deterrent force, supporter of international law, provider of public goods, and so on. So we see that in Asia Pacific, United States' role has been that of an established reigning power, which has been maintained by its security network of the hub and the spoke system, by maintaining a bilateral security network with countries like Japan, South Korea, Philippines, and others. So in this framework, as John Ikenberry, he states that how you can define United States' role in this area is that of a partial hegemon or partial hegemonic in nature. Now coming to the context of China's rise, we see with the turn of 21st century, the most dominant feature in global order is the shift in the power balance from that of Europe to that of Asia, and that is in Asia Pacific. And the main criteria or characteristic was the rise of China. So the rapid economic growth, which translated itself into greater defense spending, and automatically we see China's military modernization. So China superseded Japan and became the world second largest economy and also the second largest military spender. And with its growing strength, we see China is also projecting its power. So the main theaters are South China Sea and East China Sea in the region. So in this perspective, again, I took it from Dr. Professor Amrita Jash's quote, where he says that China's most vaunted charm offensive is now towards, it's no more existent, it's over. So therefore, in this perspective, also it's clear that the much long that Deng Xiaoping's dictum that China will keep a low profile is no more existent. China has moved away from it because China is more confident about itself, and it is reflective in terms of its power projections and assertive nature in the most important and significant global theaters, that is in South China Sea and East China Sea. So the challenges that it poses is the US interest is primarily faces the direct challenge from China's growing as a growing role in the Asia Pacific. That is, United States' primary interest is to keep the region open and organized with widely shared rules and principles of politics and economics. So the challenge is to prevent. So in this phase of rise of China, the most contending challenge for United States is how to keep this space open, because the challenge posed is to prevent any action that makes the region closed and illiberal under China's sphere of influence. So therefore the challenges as posed are, firstly, China's military modernization, which is aimed at displacing the American presence in Asia Pacific. As you see, the hotspots in South China Sea, East China Sea, as well as Taiwan Straits. Then China's growing ambition of having a blue water navy is a desire to project its power internationally. So it directly challenges the presence, the long-term presence of United States forces in the region. Thirdly, China's aggressive unilateral posture over multilateral arbitration, as the coming of ADIZ over Tiaoyu Islands, and the ongoing artificial island build-up by China in South China Sea. So these are all unilateral measures or postures that have been taken by China. So they completely defy United States' presence in the region. And fourthly, I'll look at the coming up of Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank, China's new Silk Road diplomacy, which clearly challenge against United States economic order. So therefore, we can say that China defies the integrate into the US-led international order. So what it wants to do is it wants to drive away US from the region and rather create a Sino-centric order in Asia Pacific. So the US response to China's rise is, since the equilibrium or the long-standing status quo has been under deep threat, so American response is directly vented at China's belligerence. That is, the 2011 America's pivot to Asia policy or rebalance strategy, which was mainly oriented against China's growing material power and assertiveness in the region. So initially, as always, that it was mainly military oriented, that is increasing military bases in the region, but gradually United States got into that, transformed it into economic and diplomatic elements, that is in terms of multilateral forums, or economically, that is TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership. So, and with respect to majorly, since it was military, so but there's also a change in a sense that United States is shifting its military capacities, or shifted its military capacities from its significant theaters such as Afghanistan and Iraq to that of focusing it on Asia Pacific. As it said, that restructuring, dispersing its US forces in areas such as Japan, South Korea, Guam, and also getting into Australia and Philippines. So apart from this, the policy also entails strengthening US alliances, building deeper relationships with partners such as Singapore and India, deepening engagement with multilateral institutions, and managing US-China relationship. So what is important to note, that pivot policy is not directly to contain or China in military might, but it also engages China. So it's kind of a hedge strategy, that you engage and also you counter. So it goes in tandem. So this is how the shift, like China's rise, which led to the power shift, that is, you see a declining reigning power is challenged by the rising power, and then you see a change in balance of power. So the inference that can be got about, that is, what is the new nature of balance of power in Asia Pacific, that is, it's found that there's a shift from the old partially hegemonic order, that is the American-led order, to that of an emerging multilateral order, which is shaped by balance of power impulses. So this is creating a kind of instability in the region. The US, though a major power, still a major power and having the maximum military strength, but we see it is constantly also weakening in terms of the rise of China. And so there's another dominant power in Asia Pacific other than United States. So the rising China, therefore, is a major regional challenger to US long-standing unipolarity in the region. So as with the rise of China, we see that the power gap between the established reigning power and that of the rising power is gradually decreasing. So, and this calls for uh, re- uh, revisiting the Asia Pacific security architecture, which needs a new overlap in terms of how do you want to frame the new regional multilateral institutions. So China, and apart from military, we also see that China is also now the leading economic partner or to trade partner to most of the countries in the region. So there also China has replaced United States. So Asia Pacific is therefore, as I would like to conclude, is gradually moving to a post-hegemonic order, which is mainly dominated by China as a strong regional balancer against United States. Thank you.